Hello, hello, hello. What is going on, everyone? Shout out to everyone in the chat. Welcome to Sabs podcast. I'm your host, Sabrina Salvati. My special guest today is my comrade Nick from Fred Hampton Leftist, also known as Socialist MMA on Twitter. What is going on, Nick?
I'm super hyped to be on your show, Sabby. I love your intro music so much. Like I started jamming. It get me in the mood to start talking for real. I'm gonna tweet this out too. I almost forgot to do that, but
Yeah,
super
go
excited to
ahead.
be on your show.
Thanks so much. Go ahead while you do that. I'll shout out people in the chat. Shout out to Greg, who has just become a Sabs member. Welcome and thank you. Sometimes I forget to tell people if you want to, you can become a member of Sabs podcast. All you have to do when you go to my channel page is hit the button that says join, and you get cool perks with that. Like you get automatic shout outs in live streams. You have emojis, special emojis that I've picked out that you can use in the live chat if you want. And you get automatic preference when I reply to comments. So I automatically go to the member comments first when I reply. Who else do we have? What is going on, Dan? He said Boston in the house. Zonatu said classic Boston or new Boston. Oh, damn. I don't think I'm classic. I don't think so. All right, shout out. I want to give shout out to Jonathan. Great topics. The American ruling class that keeps wages low are the same people who order American workers to die as cannon fodder in their imperialist wars for plunder. Well said. Shout out to Dan, classic Boston, Charlestown, before the yuppies came, back when we still robbed banks, even though it was pharmacies when I came of age. LOL. I'm new Boston because I've heard about those stories. What's going on, Malik? Shout out to Jimmy Dore's Garage. Tim Black called Nick Turtle Boy last night. Yeah, he has no material.
Like, is that supposed to hurt my feelings? Like for real? Like that's weak. That's weak. Like how? Oh no, my feelings are hurt. Oh no. Oh, I guess you made a good point against us. Like, bro, you're 50 years old, bro. You're 50. You're 50. That's
Nick
all I
and
have to say, right? You're 50. I
Nick
just
and I
got
are
in
gonna
the
have
game.
some
We get as
fun.
many views as you do. You're 50. Anyway, that's all I had to say. That's hilarious.
Shout out to Andrew Sabs and FHL on fire this week. Hey, y'all. Hey. Greetings, Kate. I love the music too. Oh, wait, Kate, did you hear us? Oh, yeah, you did. I think we were live when we said that. I don't remember.
This dude said,
Shoot.
"Who's Tim Black?" No one under 30 knows this guy anyway.
Oh my God. Shout out to Pylan's Ghost, y'all. Rome's ramp was epic. LOL, much love. Yeah, I saw that late last night. Kept me up past my bedtime. Hey, Eric Thomas, shout out. What's going on, Miss G? Two of my faves. Good evening, fam.
Hey, Troy, I
Welcome
just want
back,
to say,
Matt.
hey, Sabby, Troy, I just want to say that's not ages. I'm just calling out because this is his behavior at 50 years old. There's expectations that you should have. And there's nothing ages about that. I'm saying you're 50 and you act like you're 15. That's the critique, right? Sorry, Sabby, I'm interrupting you, but go ahead.
This is funny. Ashura said, coal mines are still a thing. Yeah, we're going to get into that. What's going on? Wear a pilgrim, roam if you want to roam around the world. LOL. Well said. Jara said Tim is unhinged. We agree. Shout out to everyone. Thanks so much for the super chat, Roger Meadows. You got something against, oh, you're 50-year-olds. No, we're cool. We're cool. All right. Guys, we have like two stories we're gonna get into tonight, and we also want to have a little bit of fun because it is Friday. So if Nick is up for it, we can do a little Q&A towards the end after we talk about the stories. And what the Jimmy Dore's Garage, Rome was smoking a blunt and coming up with ideas last night. Dude, I couldn't turn it off. I'm telling you, like, it was past my bedtime. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna be so tired tomorrow.
I didn't even know that they was going live. I woke up with to a gym. and Rome's rant. I saw it. I was like, what? And then Rome went in, and of course, good luck responding to that. Good luck.
Yep. Yep. I was like, oh my God. And then Vanguard today. Wow. Wow, man. All
Franco
right.
too.
Yeah. I mean, it's just ridiculous, man. Like, you could spend that time doing something else. You could spend that time, I don't know, talking about the fact that Joe Biden's going to send more troops to Afghanistan. Stuff like that.
The Democratic Party is literally expanding the police state right now. And they teamed up with Republicans. Tommy Tuberville, remember that guy who were you supposed to be super afraid of? Oh my God, Tommy Tuberville was just elected. Oh my God, this is a sign that our country is going to the gutter. But hey, all the Democrats that take his side and having the government overreach where they punish local governments if they decide they want to defund the police. It's non-binding, but it actually says a lot in how they're going to move forward. Right back to you, Sabby.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I'm actually about to pull that up right now because what happened was yesterday when we were in the middle of our roundtable, this came through on Twitter and we were like, what? So I was like, Nick, do you want to talk about this tomorrow? So I'm going to share my screen and it was code pink. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. Okay, yeah, that's better. Code Pink said breaking less than a week after pulling 2,500 U.S. troops out of Afghanistan, the Biden administration announced today that it will send 3,000 new troops. So someone do the math for me here. You pulled out 2,500 and you're sending back in 3,000. You're sending in more than what you pulled out. It doesn't make any sense. Like, I don't.
This is what frustrates me with the progressive movement now, where they seem to be very excited to praise politicians, even when the deed is not even done. The deed, I saw people was praising Biden, like, oh my God, see, Joe Biden's gonna pull out of the Afghanistan war. And I'm like, for one, he's not doing that. He's privatizing the war, for one. So that doesn't make sense to praise him. Secondly, why would he push back the extension date that Trump laid out if he wanted to get out of Afghanistan? Because the United States military was already getting prepared for that. So his excuse didn't make any sense. So what they was doing was clear to me. It was clear to me. So they wanted to extend the date. The media can run propaganda in order to ramp up support for the war. And also they know the Taliban was going to advance. If they pulled out in 2016, the Taliban would have advanced. They came out, they put out in 2012 and 2008. Like, this is the point. The war will not end. The only explanation you have if you want a permanent occupation in Afghanistan. So they know this. So they extended the date, and they knew that this headline would come out with, oh my God, Taliban is making ground. So then he can use that as an excuse to continue the war, because he was losing public support before this propaganda push. That's what it was.
Yep. And for those just tuning in, I forgot to pull this up. So let me share my screen really quick. I'm going to change my screen, actually. I want to show you guys the topics that we're discussing tonight. So let me stop share, and then let me share again, and then go back into, and I don't know why I have to say this out loud, you guys. It's just a habit. Yeah, so this is what we're talking about tonight. We're talking about Biden sending more troops to Afghanistan. Even though he pulled out 2,500, he's sending 3,000 back in. So he's sending in 500 more than what he pulled out. Doesn't make any sense. And we're also going to talk about the coal strike that's going on with the coal miners in Alabama. So then we're going to do some little Q&A fun stuff towards the end. So let me stop sharing my screen. Yeah, I want to get everybody like opinion on that. Like, and this is what I was telling people before too. When in January, I believe it was January, when Biden said that he was going to remove the troops from Afghanistan in September or by September, right? I remember so many people were so excited and happy, and they were just like, yeah, this is great news. They were praising Joe Biden. Keep in mind, nothing had happened yet, and they were already praising him. And me, having been someone come from a military family, I was like, wait a minute. How many times has administration say they're going to pull everybody out and then they don't do it? And then the Biden administration said they were going to do that during Obama's presidency, and they didn't do it. So why you think, Nick, that people just fell for that and believe that, oh yeah, he's going to pull everybody out in September? Why did they fall for this again?
There's so many people who are elected officials who I believe are bad faith, and I'm gonna be honest. You saw Ro Khanna was talking about this is in the neoliberalism. So these people, they want to praise Democrats. They do not want to go against their party, and they will give any excuse. So you had people like Bernie, you had the squad, all praising Biden for this. Meanwhile, anyone who's an anti-war activist saw through what they was doing. So for one, the framing was wrong. They didn't pull out. It was privatized. So why will you even give that legitimacy? It doesn't make sense. So also something else I'll point out, there's so many tells. So you're gonna end the war in Afghanistan and you like, oh, okay, we're gonna end wars, but you increasing our offensive military budget. And I remember I tweeted that at the time, like, how does that make sense? And that's why I made up that prediction. I was like, they're not gonna end the wars because they're increasing the military budget.
Yep.
So even if they did ramp down, which they wouldn't pull out all the troops, they'll ramp down like they said they did. They were still funding secret operative forces in Afghanistan, which is still you in the war. That's still funds going to the war. But
Yep.
even without that said, let's imagine everyone pulled out, right? The Biden administration literally said that they're doing this so they can put more resources into fighting China and Russia. Why is that? Why will you praise them for doing that? That's analysis you did not hear from Bernie Sanders, not from the squad, not from TYT, not from any of these people who was like, yay, Joe Biden. This is why we voted for him, because he might be better than Trump. No, he's not. This is another example of that.
Yeah, I mean, he's already bombing people in Somalia. I mean,
Yep.
it's absolutely ridiculous. Like both of them, both parties are pro-war. And this is one of the things we try to say over and over again. Like if you're a leftist, you should be anti-imperialist. It doesn't make any sense. Like, how could you be for that when you know what happens when they drop drones and stuff on people abroad? And it was Daniel Hale. Like the story that came out recently with Daniel Hale, didn't he reveal it was like 90%? It was like 90% of them that actually killed civilians.
Yeah, and that's why they had to go after him, because once you see the United States responsible for so many innocent deaths, how can anyone claim that we have the moral high ground to get involved in any of these countries? That's why I say you cannot be a leftist if you're an imperialist. You have people that are very imperialist minded who call themselves leftists, where they believe in the idea that the United States would be better off being involved, and they are openly admitting this. Like, yeah, Marianne Williamson, like, saying that, yeah, maybe we should stay in for the girls or whatever. Like, bro, you're assuming that our occupation is good for the people. You see the assumption there? That's the problem. You gotta get out of that anti-imperialist mindset. We make things worse, and now people want to pretend they don't understand what the Afghanistan war is about. If you will allow me to share this, because I think this is super important.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because I mentioned this when I talked to Max Blumenthal, and he was like, yeah, this is something that he agreed with as well. So I think it's this one right here. There's a lot of generals that was literally caught lying about the war. The CIA and the military-industrial complex were caught being complicit with the opium trade in Afghanistan. And then look at this graph. This shows you this is exactly why U.S. interest is in Afghanistan. And this has been reported extensively by whistleblowers, journalists. Meanwhile, people trying to pretend that we're there for the good will of the people. Are you serious? Like, that's the assumption that people make if you oppose us pulling out Afghanistan, us pulling out any of these wars. Because if you apologize for Biden, you understand you apologize for Trumpism, because Biden is continuing everything that Trump wanted to do. He wants to overthrow the Venezuelan government. So that's Trumpism. He's sponsoring the genocide in Palestine. He is pro-Israel as Donald Trump. That's Trumpism. I said I wanted Trumpism defeated. I'm not talking about just a guy. Trumpism is more than just a guy. Trumpism is the philosophy in which he governed and which he influenced society on. So you guys replaced him with another guy, and you guys still keep Trumpism in place. Trumpism is a giant police budget. You know what I mean? Trumpism is trickle-down economics, which you guys embrace. So when I say I'm against Trumpism, this is the idea I'm talking about. And that's why you wasn't going to convince me that you're going to replace Trumpism with blue Trumpism, Joe Biden, which was obvious what he was going to be.
No, it's like this is why we try to tell people it's not so much about the person that you put in office. It's not so much about the person, because the ideology is still the same. That's what Nick was trying to tell people. So when people like Nick were saying like, no, we're not voting for Joe Biden, people were taking it as though, oh, you're a Trump supporter. And then the response is obviously, no, we're not supporting Trump. But we were trying to tell you they're not that different. They're not that different. So it doesn't matter that you replace Trump with Joe Biden. Joe Biden is still increasing imperialism. He is still attacking people. He is still dropping drones, just like Obama did, just like Trump did. He's still doing the same thing. So that's what we're trying to tell you. It's not so much about the person that you put in, because the ideology is still the same.
While Trump was in office, and I don't believe Trump for 1 second. I don't give Trump any benefit of the doubt. I think he said stuff just to get headlines, to get public support, and that's just my honest take on that. But the few times that Trump hinted towards pulling out of Afghanistan, you know who was his biggest resistance? It was the neoliberal army. It was the Liz Cheneys. They were using that as Liz Cheney was using that as a reason to call him out. So that why I joined that resistance? The Lincoln Project was calling him weak. Like, because they wanted to go them into more war. Why would I join that resistance?
Jonathan said, don't forget Obama upped the count to 100,000 troops at one point. Very true. Well, very true.
I said that there was a lot of liberals that was saying, oh, Joe Biden is a third term of Obama. I'm like, no, he's 11th term of Reagan. The U.S. empire does not change with these empty suits. That's why I was telling people, like, the idea like, oh, we're going to fight white supremacy by voting for Joe Biden. That doesn't make sense. Our system is white supremacy. So no matter who's president, the president, especially the people who want to have a mansion in Martha's Vineyard, like Barack Obama, like people like Joe Biden, you think Joe Biden want to rock the boat? So he's not going to change the system. So he's going to maintain the white supremacist system. So how would this be surprising that they are continuing the U.S. war machine when they was openly saying that when Trump was in charge?
Yeah.
Once again, Trump derangement syndrome broke the minds and brains of progressives, where they were saying things that didn't make any sense. And then they will get mad at me for pointing out the obvious. They will get mad at the gray zone for pointing the obvious. They'll get mad at you for pointing the obvious. They'll get mad at anyone for saying, bro, you guys are saying that you're against white supremacy, you're against Trumpism when you're propping up the same forces of oppression that lead them to exist in the first place. That doesn't make sense. And I'm not going along with it. The new left is not going along with that. That's the split. The split of the left literally has to do with that. Whether the old left and the people who don't like us, they want to go along with the false narrative of politics. They love the kayfabe. They love the divide. The new left, we call it as it is. We don't care about the opinions of the politicians.
No, it's true.
I'm gonna see if I can fix that. I hear it slightly too. I apologize, guys.
Oh, I didn't see that comment. Hey, propaganda, where you go? Oh, there you are. Propaganda Live is in the house. He said Biden sucks. This war isn't going to end. It's going to be covert and become a proxy war fought by someone else with U.S. NATO aid. Everyone give a shout out to Propaganda Live. He has a channel where he plays video games and talks about politics at the same time. And that requires a lot of skill, because I can't play Call of Duty well when I'm silent. So I don't know. I can't aim at anything.
That's right up my alley, because like me and my friends, when we play video games, we love talking smack when we play video games. So that's like right up my alley. So check them out. That's good content.
Yeah, it's like, well, the thing is too, what you said about like the system itself, the government itself is set up as a system of white supremacy. That is very true. And this is why we try to tell people that one thing you need to keep in mind, regardless of who you put in, if they are going into the Democratic Party, the Republican Party, even the ones that try to fight these things, oftentimes we wonder like, well, why couldn't they get it passed? Or why couldn't they get it through? Why did they fail? The system is set up against it. The system is already organized. That's the structure. The structure of the United States government is not set up for like-minded, like people to succeed. Now, that is not saying that they can't try to push these things. We still think the squad should push these things, but I think that they know that, they see that now. And I think that's why we don't really see them push on these things like we want them to. The system is set up to where, no, this is not going to happen in this house. It's like what Afeni said. Afeni said the master is not going to give you the keys to dismantle his house.
That's why I was more than open, and I said that LC in the squad had a very hard job ahead of them. They had to be very powerful, strong leftist leaders in a white supremacist nation that wants nothing more than to tear them down. So there's no doubt in my mind they had a hard task ahead of them. The thing is, if when you're elected to Congress, when you have people that donated, when they canvassed, when they put a lot of their blood, sweat, and tears into getting you elected, and you know you have a massive army, a massive email list that will have your back, despite the hell that you will go against, you'll go towards if you go against the Democratic Party. Trust me, I understand. That's why they are intimidated. They don't want that fight, and that's why they run away from activists. Finney told us as much. This is what they said. It's having these small victories, they want to celebrate that because they've been being down by the system in less than 3 years. So I understand that's hard, but to me, abandon your grassroots activists that help you get elected. Abandon the same like shows who help you get elected. You join the shows, but you don't want to answer to them later on. Like to me, that's not acceptable. See, I can admit both things. I can admit that you had a hard role, but how does you abandoning your support make sense? In fact, that's the worst strategy you can go under because you will get a ton of heat. But if you had your activists back instead of shunning us and pretending that we're deplorables like they did, they did not attend the Medicare for All march because they're like, oh, these people are gonna make it look bad. That's them saying we don't want to be seen with you people. We don't like the people that we say we fight for. The people that we say we fight for, we see as deplorable. That's what I take away when they say they don't want to march with us. When they say they don't even want to entertain debating our strategies. So you had a hard job, but how does that make sense for you to abandon your base and then you guys complaining when we're not that excited about elections anymore?
Yep. It's a new time. It is a new day. And people are just tired we're just tired of doing the same thing over and over and getting the same results. And the definition of that is insanity. Like we're just not.
Yeah, I'm just asking, can they at least adjust? Because I'm not even seeing adjustments. Well, a more harsh critique would say it's an adjustment to the right, but I'm saying they're getting squashed by the establishment, but they're just doing the same thing in the least combative way, in the easiest route to take, and that's the criticism. I don't see how that's unreasonable for anyone to levy out, considering the situation we're in.
And we see what's happening. Joe Biden's sending more troops to Afghanistan. Guys, nothing has changed. Nothing has really improved. And I want to give a shout out to Thea Ballerina. What is up?
My friend, she's a real one. I want to say Thea, if you guys don't know who she is, she warned me about a lot of these people. And I'm not even saying names, but she warned me about them, and then she always been proven right. But anyway, back to you, Sabby.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, this is a good example. I was going to Bill's comment. Bill said the moratorium extension was a manufactured win to make Bush a better sheepdog, and she immediately used it for fundraising. It is textbook controlled opposition.
Well said, Bill.
Jonathan said, y'all familiar with the betrayal of radical reconstruction? Dems and Republicans colluded to overthrow radical governments in the South, ordering Union Army to retreat while the KKK took over. I am familiar with that. See how they work together?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's the kind of stuff I was talking about when I was talking to Dr. Kareem Patesh. When I told them, and I explained before, history radicalized me. Like, cause that made me open to what is happening now. Because there's a lot of people with blinders on. So when you read history and you see all the horrible stuff that happens, like human history, the history is history of war, genocide, and culture mostly. So when you see all the stuff that happens, I'm like, okay, why would I think that's not happening now? You know what I mean?
Yep.
So that's the kind of stuff that help you get radicalized. So the people that are like, oh, I can't believe there's no way our government can do that. Read a history book.
Yeah.
Read a history book.
Yeah, no, I agree. I want to get into the next story because this is picking up speed. Now, for those who don't know, let me see if I can open this in a different window. Okay. Coal miners in Alabama have been on strike. Like they have actually been on strike for months. And I have a little short video I'm going to play for you about them. And what I want you to know is that when Jackie came on here last time and we were talking about the October 15th general strike, remember we were saying that you have to have enough mutual aid so that way we could do this for a couple of months. And this is just another example. They have been on strike for months and their needs have not been met yet. But I want to show you this short video so you can see all the stuff that they had set up, like how they went about doing this. I am 100% for a general strike, but we need to have the necessary resources in place so that people can pay their rent, can pay their mortgage for a couple of months, so that people have enough food, utilities, things that we need, because companies like Walmart and Amazon, they can wait us out. They can wait us out for like 2 months, 3 months. So in order for this to work, we have to be prepared for it. And what I'm going to show you in this video, it looks like they were prepared. So let me share my screen. Share my screen. Share audio. All right. I'm just going to mute my mic so I don't have an echo.
Just fight for work. And that is why a battle in the heart of Alabama caught our attention. Coal miners in one community have been pushing for better wages, benefits. They've been on strike now for months. Our Elwin Lopez visited the town to get a firsthand look at this contentious fight for workers' rights and what it says about the modern workforce.
This is the dividing line, nestled at the entrance of the mine. Those who cross it amplifying the discord and animosity in this small community.
Once you've crossed the picket line, I have nothing to say to you.
We will march by the hundreds.
A searing split for these coal miners in Brookwood, Alabama, calling this the fight of their lives. This small town, the latest flashpoint in the battle over workers' rights.
It is proud of. One of the things I like to see, and it almost brings tears to your eyes when you see a sea of camouflage marching into an area. It's I don't even know how to say it. It's just a strong sense of pride.
Every union in this country owes something to coal miners.
More than 1,000 workers took off their hard hats and walked off the job back in April, spending the past 4 months on strike, the first one in the area in 4 decades. This after they say the company they work for, Warrior Met Coal, is treating them unfairly. Now they want better benefits. Behind the scenes, coal miner spouses get to work.
The stags pulled out.
Sorting clothes and packing supplies for strike families.
Just wanted to pause for a second. You see how they did this? You see how they had clothes? They have food all prepared for the families, not just for the people, the workers that are striking, but for all of their families. I'm gonna pick it up again.
While their other halves hold the line in front of the mines. Hayden Wright is a local United Mine Workers Auxiliary president. She helps run the pantry, which is supported through donations.
This is the board where you write everything down. Each week it changes.
Yes.
And then you get the items and put them in the bags.
And we do about 200 bags a week. They can come in, they can get clothes if they need them, they can get baby and hygiene products, and they can pick up their pantry bag.
What would you do without Hayden, without your wife?
I don't know. She holds the family together. She holds the strike pantry together. She's been real supportive and strong throughout this whole strike, and I couldn't be prouder of her.
Braxton has been working at the mine for 17 years.
You come from a family of miners. You take a lot of pride in the work that you do. How difficult was it for you to make that decision to say, I have to go on strike?
It wasn't a difficult decision to go on strike because we knew that we had to fight for what we deserved. We wanted the dignity back in our job.
In 2016, Warrior Met Coal took ownership of the mine after the previous company went bankrupt. According to the union, workers took drastic cutbacks in hourly wages, holidays, time off, as well as medical coverage, and lost their pensions.
I don't want to play it for too long because I want to get like Nick's opinion about this as well. But you guys notice how they said that they hadn't had a strike in like 4 decades? Said it's 4 decades. So they fucked up.
I'm of the opinion that you should be striking it even when things are going well. Like,
Yeah.
at what point should workers stop asking for more? And this is how an entire generation, or generations, I should say, of Americans have been brainwashed into thinking that you don't deserve the value of your labor. Like, do you see the wealth of our country and how much it actually creates? Do you see the wealth of these billionaires, the quality of life that your labor is giving them? And you don't think you're worth more? That's why I had a strong reaction when you said the word dignity. So the reason I reacted like that, 'cause I was like, I agree with you. I wish more people would carry that into their politics. Now, the reason I say this, I'm not making any assumptions here, but this looks like a very conservative area. And now I see more conservatives that are more than willing to talk about workers' rights now, and more than willing to make direct action because they believe they deserve dignity. The only thing I want to add this, I want to get your takes after this. I'd be like, if you believe that you should have dignity as a worker, why don't you carry that throughout the rest of your politics? Like, if you believe that as a worker, you should carry that. Don't we deserve dignity? Immigrants deserve dignity as well. The McDonald's workers deserve dignity as well. That's why I would love to have a takeaway from this conversation, because like, yeah, let's expand this movement as far as we can take it. Yeah, let's support the coal miners, but let's support the fast food workers as well. Let's support airline workers. Let's support like more. Let's keep this going. That's the point I want to keep making.
I agree. That's a good point, Nick. Like, why not? Why should it only apply to your workplace? And I'm going to share my screen because I'm not going to play the video, but I just want to show you guys this is what they're upset about. And one of these should really jump out at you. Worker concessions. They're upset about their hourly wages, holidays, time off, and wait a minute, wait for it, medical coverage. What have we been telling you about medical, about healthcare?
Hey, Sabby, they sound like far leftists to me. They sound like, hey, these coal miners, man, they are some far left radicals. They want a living wage. They want holidays. They want time off. Man, they sound like some Antifa nonsense to me, Sabby. That's my point I was making earlier, right? Because I'm not making assumptions, but this is common sense. Like, I'm just asking you to ask yourself, how many of those people that are on strike, how many of those people you think vote Republican? Like, I'm not making an assumption. I'm asking you to ask yourself, what do you think that number is? Why would you vote Republican if you want this stuff? Why would you vote neoliberal Democrat if you want this stuff? Those same people that want this stuff. Once again, percent it out as you want, based on the area. We all know it's conservative. How many of those people that asking for this would demonize Antifa? And we just want this. So that's the perspective I want to add to this conversation. Yes, I stand 100% solidarity with them, and I'm 100% happy that they are doing that. But what I do as a class war analyst, as someone who is as an anti-capitalist, someone who is a socialist, I want to spread different ways of breaking these kind of stories down as well. Like, if I hear this story, if I'm talking to Coleman, I was like, yeah, bro, this is what we on the left want. Like, so like, we should be uniting on this instead of you like putting like all this attention on like the culture war to divide us, right? And then this is how you win conservatives over, right? But what's your thoughts, Sabby?
I agree with you 100%. And I think, again, it goes back to the two-party system because it's the parties that tell us we should think differently. It's the parties that tell us that we're divided because, like you said, all those things that they say they want, you were like, hey, that sounds like a far leftist. We want those same things too, but they have the Republican Party telling them that wanting those things on a national level, that's socialism and that's a bad thing. And so, again, it's the two parties are what's keeping us divided. This is what I was telling people, like Nick said, if you talk to people who are not necessarily in your political ideology and you just break it down for them, you might find that they want some of the same things that we want too. It's just that they have been conditioned that they are supposed to vote a certain way, either by the way they were raised by their parents or because of where they live, or they just told like they're supposed to be a Republican. You have to pick one or two. It's like when I lived in North Carolina, people told me I had to either be a UNC fan or I had to be a Duke fan. And I didn't like either one. They were like, no, you got to pick one or two. So it's like, I know that's a weird comparison, but like down there in North Carolina, like that's like a serious thing. So that's what it reminds me of. It's like we just keep having the two parties keep telling us that we are very different when we have more in common than we realize.
And I want to add one more. I believe it's a very important takeaway from the story, because it's very important to have the class analysis, but we also got to have a race analysis of this as well. And what I mean by that is, I made this point before, and I had so many conversations. I wish I remember which conversation I had this with. I believe it was Dr. Kareem Batesh when we were talking about white supremacy. Now, and this is back to my point earlier. Look at all these people that are supporting what would otherwise be demonized as a far left socialist agenda. Now, let's break this down by race. So why do they believe they deserve the far left socialist agenda, but then they fight us when we ask for the same thing? The race analysis that I tell people that people miss on the left, the white left, and it's not like a harsh criticism, but you guys don't have this perspective from black leftists. But we ask for the same thing white people ask for, and they oppose it. And the same people that say they oppose socialism, they are silent when they're corporate bailouts. They're silent about the giant military budget. So what is that? So they believe in socialism for their community, the white community, but they don't want social programs to benefit black people. And we got to have those conversations. That's what it is. That's the race conversation plus the class conversation that a lot of people avoid.
Yeah, and it kind of reminds me too, like when people would say, people who were against gay people or gay rights, whatever. Whenever I would ask someone like that, like, why do you have a problem with gay people? Why are you against it? I'd always get the same answer: because the Bible says it's wrong. So it's just like the same thing, like politically, like, why are you against like everyone having like healthcare in this country? Or why are you against everyone, having a living wage? Well, I'm a Republican, I'm a conservative. And I'm taught, like my party teaches me that you're supposed to get out and work for those things. You're not supposed to have handouts. So this is one of the things, and this is going more into like a religion aspect. And I don't usually talk about religion, but this is one of those things where there are good things and there are bad things about religion, right? And there could be good things and bad things about the parties as well. But this is another example where, can you get good from religion? I believe yes. But there are also bad things that can come from it as well. And it's the idea that you're told this is what it is, and so that's what you have to believe. You don't have any evidence. You're just told that because it's in this book, it's true, and that's what you have to believe. And if you start to ask questions and if you start to question it, you're considered a troublemaker. You're considered bad for that. And people do the same thing with the two parties too. Like, if I know when I was like Democrat, when I would start asking these questions like about Obama, and Nick and I talked about this one time before, but like when I started asking people like, hey, do you guys actually think Obama's doing a good job? Because like he's like dropping like drones and stuff on people. Democrats like hated me. Like people people would get really angry and really upset with me. And I learned very early on, I guess I should not talk to Democrats about concerns I have about Obama. What do you think about that?
And that's the I converted a lot of black people from liking Obama, and those conversations are really hard to have, where it's kind of like I would do my own thing because I'm activist now, but I'm out in my political opinions, but it's like I'm not like grilling everyone over it. So like people ask me like, why you don't like Obama? Then I'll tell them. And then most people who are intellectually honest, they will hear the fact that he bombed Doctors Without Borders, for example, the fact that he had a kill list, the fact that he expanded the police state. These things that average people will hear and they'll be like, okay, it makes sense that you as a black man don't like him. The people that are Democrats, these people are cultists, they will get mad at you. These are the people that we are not really going to win over. Like, this is the 25%. Like, people don't realize that most people are not Democrat or Republicans. And then even people that are Democrats, you can peel those people away. How many people are the really hardcore, like Brooklyn Dad following, like MSNBC watcher? Like, that's actually not a high percentage of the population. So don't stress yourself over winning those people. You win the people over that's kind of Like they live in life. That's most people I know. Most people I know just kind of live in life. They don't follow politics that much. You can drag those people over, and we can defeat the neoliberal army that way instead of propping them up. But that's a topic for another day. But that's how you beat them. Now I do want to address, because you talking about like the black church and religion, and I have matured greatly on this position. I remember I went through my edgy like atheist teenage phase, but now especially as a leftist, I'm more like live and let live, right? Well, I'm like, I understand how hard life is, I understand the struggle, so I understand you need anything that helps you in your life. That makes sense. Now, that will not stop me from calling out bad ideas. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. So if you have bad ideas, I will call it out and I'll address the root cause of that. Now, I called out the black community. I called it the black church. And this is one of my first radical positions, because you had the black church in California that was fighting against they were fighting for anti-gay legislation. They were fighting against gay marriage being legalized. And I'm like, bruh, I am not for that, because how do you not see you being complicit in that struggle is the same as when white people denied us our rights? Like that was one of the first positions I made, and I'm like, oh, I'm super radical for that. But that was when I still was a little bit liberal minded. But that was one of my first breakaways. Now, the reason why I don't condemn religion altogether now, because guess what I just talked about? I talked to Dr. Cornel West. Now, Dr. Cornel West, the way he's expressed his religion is beautiful. Like to the point where I'm like, he's taking me to church. Like if more people applied their religious faith like this, I would have no criticism at all. Like, why would anyone criticize the way that Dr. Cornel West implies his religion? But the problem is, if you look at the way our society operates, the cruelty of it, clearly now people don't follow it, right? So I got to criticize that. Now, with people like Dr. Cornel West, it's beautiful. And there's no reason why I should hate them. And that's why I have more of a live and let live. But at the same time, I'm not going to hold back from calling out bad ideas. So that's why I stand on that. But back to you, Sabby.
I'm going to get to some of the super chats. Shout out to Roger Meadows for the super chat. Giving up on electoral politics, understand that can hurt future India Waltons and Shama Sawants and anti-Cuomo progressive, lawmakers who serve at state and local level where most change happens. Continue to the next chat. Okay, he has another chat. Give me just a second. But most importantly, ballot initiatives, which MO and Missouri and Massachusetts allows for. Anything you want done federally, do at state level. But if you don't vote, then they won't get passed. Instead, when you vote, leave federal level blank. Thanks so much for the super chats, Roger.
That is such a good point. I'm not going to be long on this because I cover this extensively on my show. When people ask me like, okay, what's the solution? Because everyone already pretend I'm just talking nonsense with no solution. I told people ballot initiatives. And people, and I'll talk to Justin Jackson with this. I'm with Compton J, and I'm like, that's my main focus. And the only reason I vote because I vote for the Green Party, and people are like, oh, you believe in electoral politics? I vote because we have ballot initiatives in our state. In our conservative state in Missouri, we passed Medicare expansion. We passed medical marijuana. We increased the minimum wage due to ballot initiatives. So that's in line with my ideology. Where I said politicians are not going to save us. Only we can. And the reason why I want to bring this up so bad because we had a ballot initiative that expanded Medicaid in Missouri, and then the Republican governor vetoed it, but then they just lost in the Supreme Court. So people power wins. We put a lot of pressure on them, and we won. That's the path that I believe in. Stop believing in politicians. Look in things like ballot initiatives and mutual aid. Look into strikes. These are the kind of focus we have. But thank you for bringing that up. Shout out to whoever left that super chat. I forgot the name on there, but that's a great comment. Thank you.
That was Roger, and he has another super chat. Thanks for the super chat, Roger. Let's help miners convert company into worker coups. Yeah, I agree. One thing I wanted to add is like with the ballot initiatives, we actually, so that's how people are like, oh man, like when people found out that Massachusetts like legalized marijuana and then we opened shops, like marijuana shops, people that I know that don't live here were like, hey, I might need to come up and visit you soon. Because we were the only one on the East Coast that had it at that time. And that was done through ballot initiatives. Now, some ballot initiatives that we pushed for have not passed like we did. We also had ranked choice voting on the ballot in 2020. Unfortunately, that didn't pass. And I think it didn't pass because of the way it was worded on the ballot. I'm just going to be honest with you. Most people I talked to didn't understand what it meant. I knew what they were saying. My husband knew what they were saying. But it seemed like people who were not following like indie media, they really just did not understand what this was all about. And that's unfortunate, but that's why you have us here, right? One more super chat shout out and I'll pass it back to you, Nick. Thanks, Delthea Simmons. She's a Sabby Sabs member. The left has better ideas, but we don't sell them well. The right has lousy ideas, but they don't look good wrapped up in a flag and carrying a cross.
That's a great point. And this is the point I make, because I went canvassing for Bernie and I flipped so many people to the left. And that's why I still say to this day, despite all my criticisms of Bernie Sanders, I don't regret one thing, because you guys understand how many leftists I turned into because of the Bernie campaign. The value of electoral politics at this point, the only role to me is radicalizing people, getting them ready to get ready to strike and get ready to really organize, right? And that what you can do through electoral politics. And you gotta have real conversations with people. Like, you can't passion it. You can't, like, people tone police me all the time, but when I have these hard conversations with Black people, when people are like, "Oh, I can't believe you said that," like, bro, I say this stuff because this is how I get to people. I get people to think. Yes, it's uncomfortable when I say certain stuff. I acknowledge that, but you dealing around trying to be nice is not winning people over. Like, I win over conservatives because people are like, "Oh, you just bringing up why you bring up race there?" Because I'm calling out their hypocrisy. I'm like, yeah, I'm using this as an example so they can think in the greater picture. So I'm like, why are you for these things for this situation, but not for other situations? It's an uncomfortable conversation to have, but this is how I get people to think and become leftists. And I agree with Super Chat 100%. But that's how you gotta be more strategic, and just try and be like, play it super conservative. That doesn't work. You gotta go hard sometimes. That's how you win people over, through hard talk.
Yeah, and she went on to say, Delthea is a Sabs member. She went on to say, you start with meeting people where you both agree, then you gently ask them to question what they believe and why they believe it. It takes time, but it works.
That's just what I just laid out, right? That like kind of that's on point. Great comment. That's on point.
I agree. Nick, I don't know if I showed you this. If not, I'm gonna pull it up because like me and Jackie went through this like religiously.
Are you talking about the general strike?
Yeah. I just want
Yeah.
to get your opinion on this, because like when Jackie and I looked at this, there wasn't much on the website, unfortunately. And
Yeah.
I want to get your take on what they're asking for, because I feel like this could be a little bit more. So I'm just going to share my screen. So for those who haven't seen this yet, that October 15th general strike, these are the goals that they're asking for. I'm just going to make this a little bit larger here. Okay. So they're asking for a 25% corporate tax rate, no loopholes, free healthcare for all, 12 weeks paid paternity and maternity leave, $20 minimum wage, a 4-day work week, stricter environmental regulations on corporations, bans on single use and microplastics, and limited emissions. So, Nick, I wanted to get your opinion about this. Like, do you think this is enough? And do you think October 15th is enough time?
There's been a lot of good faith criticism that I agree with in terms of what's happening here, because there's a lot of foundation that you need in order to get a drone strike to work. We just seen what the coal miners are doing now. Imagine that on a giant scale, where we need vast amount of mutual aid raised so people can pay their bills, feed themselves, and that kind of stuff. So you gotta get ready for a long battle. And the criticism is they're not sure if they're ready before October, because it take a long time. Now, the thing I would say in response, and this is where I'm gonna have a slightly different take, because I'm intellectually consistent. Now, instead of just bashing this effort, this is still a good thing. Well, and I'm gonna explain why I say this. Now, remember the people who was criticizing the Medicare for All marches? Their arguments didn't hold water for me, because my response for people who had criticism of Medicare for All marches, why don't you just help? Why don't you just help? So my thing is like, yeah, there's a lot of things that we had to have done before October, but let's get started and let's help them, even if they are off balance. So even if this particular general strike fails, that wouldn't even be a bad thing. Remember, the thing that you don't want to happen, this is what the CIA loves to do. They want you to urge caution. That's what the CIA playbook is. They want you to urge caution. They want you to go through all these different channels because they don't want you to act. We got to act, and we got to start spreading awareness. So even if the October general strike fails, that can actually help spread awareness. Because okay, there are people that organize general strikes. Let's get the message out more. People may see it fail. Okay, let's make the next one work. So even if it is failed, it's not necessarily a bad thing. This is action we need. So let's all come together and try to help expand this message. If we don't have the momentum we need in order for the general strike to be successful in October, that's okay. Let's continue to build and expand on this because it's good that we're having this conversation now. So this goes back to my root of my criticism of people who focus too much on electoral politics. Now imagine the people that spend 90% of their time on electoral politics, if they spend their time getting ready for a general strike instead of spending all these money on these campaigns that are not working out. These are the kind of things we can be doing to get ready for the general strike right now. So the same people that are saying like, oh, you can't be talking about general strikes, we're not ready for that. Okay, what you're doing to get ready for it. You so focused on electoral politics, you're not helping us get ready for this. So even though this may not work in October because we don't got enough time, I think we should still support it. I think we should build on that instead of just being negative Nancy's, because that's what they did on the Medicare for All March. They're like, oh, well, this Medicare for All March, well, this is not gonna lead to Medicare for all. That's not the point. The point is we're trying to put pressure on the establishment. We're trying to spread a message. So even though this general strike may not work, we got to spread a message to people that we need the general strike right now. And the fact that it's not working is a bad thing. And we need to get people on board. So it's a win-win to support this, even though a lot of the criticism, like I said, has actual substance to it. You know what I mean, Sabby?
Yeah, I agree. Like, Cheese Sandwich said, who is behind it? Give me 1 second, Cheese Sandwich, because they changed their website since Jackie and I looked at it last time, and that was actually on the first screen.
And the only thing I want to say is I want to reply why you looked that up. And the same guy says it's gonna fail and it's gonna discourage people. Now, my response to that is that's ahistorical. When have we had social movements that failed or had a hiccup where people are like, oh, never mind, I guess we're not gonna fight for civil rights no more. There was a hiccup in the road of gay rights. Oh no, we lost. Guess we gotta give up. That's ahistorical. Like even if the general strike failed, people still gonna want to strike. Like people not gonna. Oh, I guess we lost. Like that's not. Look at history. There's no examples. Well, give me an example of that happening.
It's the National Labor Relations Act. That's interesting because I don't think that's what it said last time. So maybe they updated their information. Last time I could have sworn it was something else, but I have to go back to that video. Yeah, when you guys get a chance, me and Jackie did a walkthrough of the original website. Definitely go back and check out that video if you have time. It's called October 15th General Strike. That's literally the name of it.
One thing I want to add is, and when I bring this up, I'm not lobbying accusations, but it's very important. It's super important. This is why I posted it. I'm gonna see if I can find it. We may have to share it, but there have been CIA tactics when it comes to infiltrating the left. And I'm not saying that people who advocate these ideas are CIA, but we need to call it out because there's a reason why they advocate for these ideas, because it works and slow down movements. One of the things that the CIA and what they want to do when they break up left movements is you got to urge caution. You gotta go through proper channels. You gotta make sure you have proper people in proper position of power that are organizing this. You can't have the peasants that organize it. You gotta make sure, and you see how it slows stuff down. So we can't get caught up in that. And I'm not saying that people who are doing that are CIA. I'm saying that the CIA will be proud of you. That's what I'm saying. So let's learn those tactics that they use to slow down movements, and let's not become victim of that. And that's why I see people do, like when they criticize the Medicare for All March, when they criticize forced to vote, when they criticize any effort to do a general strike, they're like, eat caution. Oh my God, why are you not going through channels? This is exactly what the CIA wants you to do. Right?
I just want to say, I want to remind everybody, I work in higher ed, and we always have to go through these channels, these long channels to get anything done. That's why it takes so long to get one thing done. I'm not a fan of channels.
If you have time, I can share this just real quick, Sabby, just so people know what I'm talking about. Because this is what I tweeted out a long time ago, and I'm glad that it gained traction and people were spreading it. And guess what? You know, the people, like there were some people that was mad at me for just posting it. It was the same kind of actors that would do that, got mad at me for just saying this. Insist on doing everything through channels. Never permit shortcuts be taken in order to expedite decisions, because they want to slow down the movement. Number 4, and this brings who does this? I'm not gonna say any name, but who does this remind you of? Bring up irrelevant issues as frequently as possible. Now, remember when Medicare for All marches had their initial issues that were fixed? Remember the people that kept bringing up those issues over and over and over again, over and again. I'm like, bro, we resolved those issues weeks ago. That's number 4 on the list. I'm not calling you CIA. I'm just saying the CIA will be proud of your actions.
Shout out to Roger Meadows for the super chat. Missouri did M expansion via ballot initiative. Great. Now do Medicare for all. That's your state, Nick.
Yeah, see, this is kind of stuff I'm focused on, and people who think, and mostly the people that they have so much vested interest in electoral politics. When they see me bash electoral politics, they're like, "Okay, what are you gonna do then?" I got a lot to do. Like, there's a lot to do outside electoral politics, and when they criticize me like that, they actually expose themselves. I'm like, bro, your imagination is really that small where you can't see the fact that I criticize electoral politics. You don't know what I can do after that. We can help get Medicaid expansions through ballot initiatives. You can help organize general strikes. You can help invest in mutual aid and actually feed communities. There's a lot you can do. Now, that's just the top of my head. Like, there's a ton more you can do. That's the point of our politics at Fred and the leftists.
Zonatu has a statement here. The timing of the general strike works out with the eviction moratorium. Why don't they link the causes? The squad will be hard pressed to say they didn't know when the strike is at their office. Oh, Nick, I'm gonna get your opinion on that.
This is exactly why I say all these issues are connected, and I don't understand why people think I'm unreasonable when people was busy praising Cori Bush over the eviction moratorium win, right? I said, okay, get back to work because there's still a lot of stuff we can do. Why not use this momentum to carry on to other endeavors? Like, why not use the same momentum that you made apparently the Biden administration fold, according to your story? You guys had the power to make them fold on this issue. Why not make them fold on other issues? Why not raise awareness for a general strike using the same thing? Why not? Well, bro, we about to shut down Capitol until we get a minimum wage increase. Why not do that? That was my criticism. You see, some people stop themselves at the left. Oh, we got a eviction moratorium that's not permanent, but we're going to share that, but we're not going to ask anymore. How does that make sense as an activist? That doesn't make sense. It makes sense if your goal is only to defend politicians in the Democrat Party because you want to keep the Overton window only at a certain point. You don't want us to ask more out of politicians because we ask more out of politicians and make your favorite politicians look bad. That's the divide.
Gamer for Life said that's working against us. Kate, electoral politics are a joke. Shout out to Dathea Simmons. She's a Sabby Sabs member. Strive for 25, thrive at 25. $15 is not enough.
Ms. Simmons knocking it out today. That's a great comment. You're knocking it out. That's a great comment.
Just to give you guys an idea, dude, we about to get to 15 in Massachusetts. I think that's this year. It's supposed to change to 15. Either this year or the beginning of next year. At this point, it definitely needs to be higher. I want to give a shout out to Thomas for the super chat. We need a plan to counteract the violence. National Guard was authorized to use lethal force during Standing Rock, not trying to be a negative Nancy. I do remember that. That was ridiculous too.
That's a great comment. And this adds to my point, and I definitely want to make it, and I want to warn people, and this is what a lot of people are not breaking down. Why do you think they're expanding the police state right now? I put out to yesterday, I'm like, you guys realize the reason why Joe Biden and the Democratic Party are expanding the police state because they know capitalism is failing. And they're trying to get ready for the social disorder that's going to happen when things continue to get worse. What happens when these coal miners don't get what they want? If they don't get what they want? What happens if there are other strikes and they don't get what they want? It's going to get bad. And the rural class is not as dumb as we think. They're getting ready for it. They know the climate crisis is happening. They know worker conditions is getting worse. And they're going to ramp up the police budgets so they can protect themselves when social disorder happens. So that's great super chat. Great community. That's great chat right there. Because that's exactly what I want people to understand.
Yeah. And Cheese Sandwich said, I'm not trying to sink the strike. I'm trying to make it better by criticizing it to you guys.
That's great. That's great. And just to be clear, remember what I said at the very beginning in my rant? I said the people I believe are criticizing it based on what I've seen is doing it in good faith. But you got to take that criticism and now let's apply it. Let's help. And I think that's what you're doing. I wasn't mad at you. I was just making an overall greater point. And once again, I'm not mad. I would be a hypocrite if I say some things are above criticism. Everything should be criticized. Criticize me. That's why I don't get mad. criticize me. I get better when people criticize me. So no one's above criticism, but what are you doing with that criticism? My criticism of the squad and Bernie is designed to make them better, not just to tear them down, right? But Sabby, what are you about to say?
Yeah, I was gonna say, that's the thing too. Sometimes like people can't take any type of criticism, and there are effective ways to like critique people, and there are ineffective ways to critique people. But like Nick said, like that's how we learn and that's how we get better. Like I wasn't always a leftist. I told you guys, like I was a Democrat. I got excited about Obama. I had to learn things along the way, you know?
Yeah, like whenever I'm like 100% dead wrong, I learn from all that. That's why I'm at where I'm at right now. Like I would not be where I'm at right now if I didn't look at my stances like, oh damn, I was wrong right here, and
Mhm.
I don't adjust. Like if you don't do that, you're gonna be lost in doing that thing where you're just defending politicians because that's the vertex you get stuck into if you're not intellectually honest enough to be 100% with yourself. So when I get criticism when it's good faith, I don't even have to acknowledge. I don't have to acknowledge. I don't have to say it. I was like, damn, you got me, bro. That's a good burn. I gotta get better for that. That's my mindset, and that's my mindset I learned through martial arts. Story for another day.
I'm gonna play something for you guys. And it is about capitalism. And this was something recent. I'm only gonna play this one statement. And this was from Professor Richard Wolff when he came on. And I want everyone to pay attention to what he says about what is happening to American capitalism. Let me see if he give me just 1 second. Guys, feel free to chat with Nick while I find that spot.
I just want to get while you wait. I'm gonna get a shout out to Johnny Activism. Sorry if I say your name wrong. I usually just read it because I know you from Twitter. You say you want to talk? Yeah, absolutely, brother. I love to have build dialogue and build bridges as much as possible. That's what we want to do at Frampton Leftist. Um, so yeah, shout out to you, homie.
Cool. I think
And that's what I'm saying, and that's why I just want to add on to what I was saying. Like what we want to do at Frampton Leftist, and this is truly how I've grown, and this is how I continue to get better. People always ask like, "Oh, why people listen to social media?" I think people know that even if I'm wrong on something, even if I get something wrong, like, okay, I'm gonna learn, I'm gonna adjust. We're gonna get better, and we're gonna have good faith critiques on people. When you have people that just attacking people and just throwing like random insults, like that's not constructive. Like what do you get out of that? Like even when do you see me like insulting the way Joe Biden looks? Do you see me insulting like Bernie Sanders and the squad or anything like a physical insult? No, it's just all my criticisms in politics are levied on an intellectual basis. And there's some people that can't handle that, and these are people I don't take seriously. This is why I kind of just laugh them off. They have the emotional intelligence of children, where they just want to lash out at people they disagree with and attack them instead of just debunking them intellectually. And that's what I do. That's the point of my citizen journalism, what I want to be about, and so I won't stick that low, right? When it comes to attacks, I'll just use good faith attacks and good faith criticism and use that to get better. I think that's the best thing we can do. Just to address
Okay.
what the comments are talking about. But go ahead, Sabby.
Yeah. All right, I found it. I want you guys to listen to what Professor Richard Wolff says about my generation, our generation, look, just this country in general, and about what is going to happen with capitalism. First, I want to shout out Roger Meadows for the super chat. Nick, when you speak down on electoral politics, we hear that as don't vote, which hurt ballot initiatives in future Shama and India's.
See,
Okay.
you got, and I understand why people may reach that position because I assume people follow my channel and follow my other tweets. If you know what I'm about, you understand what I mean, because people know I voted for Green Party 2 times. I voted for Holly Hawkins in 2016. I voted for 2020, and I voted for Joe Stein in 2016. So obviously I believe in electoral politics to some extent because I actually went out and voted. And I explained this before when I had this conversation with Brianna Joy Gray, where I said some people, their scale is off. They believe in electoral politics should have 80% of your attention. My take has always been consistent from day one, guys. I promise you. My position has always been we should vote because why not? We shouldn't put that much stock into that power, but that we had that power, so we might as well use it because of ballot initiatives and to build third parties. I've always been consistent on that. I was a giant Green Party activist in 2020. I was advocating for the Green Party. That's what people know me for. So I make the mistake when I talk sometimes. I assume that people know this stuff. But I understand if you just watching this for the first time and you see me for the first time, you're like, oh, this man don't believe in third party. I voted Green Party 2 times. I missed Joe Stein. So hopefully that cleared that up.
Cools. All right, I'm going to show you guys this clip from Professor Richard Wolff when I had him on, when he talks about where the U.S. is headed in capitalism and his hope for my generation, for millennials, for Gen Z peeps. And then after this, Nick and I are going to have a little bit of fun. We're going to open it up for a Q&A session here. But let me share my screen. Oh, I'm already sharing it. Okay. Boy, I'm an amateur at this. Let me tell you.
I love this interview, by the way. I love the anytime Professor Richard Wolff talks, I always listen. He's one of the people that helped me lead to my economic position I'm at right now. Love that guy.
Isn't he awesome? All right, guys, listen to what he says. This is important. Question that I had is, what advice would you give to like millennials and Gen Z generation, those of us who, a lot of us, like you said, have chosen like we can't buy a house or they can't get married and all of those things. What advice would you give them in reference to like, is that the way to continue to go about it? Should we try to save up for these things to happen, or should we just continue what a lot of us have been doing, which is enjoying like experiences instead?
Well, that's a good question. That's a hard question. Let me tell you what I wish for, then I'll try to answer your question. I am somewhat embarrassed, maybe even I should say ashamed, that my generation didn't do a better job of changing this society for your generation. I think we would have been happier had we done a better job as a group changing this world from the way we found it. And my hope is that you do. My hope, look, what's going to happen in this country, you're going to make that decision. People like you, people your age, people thinking like you are, you're going to make a change. That's my hope. That's my most. And if I could plead with all of you, and I'll use you, I'm talking to you, so I'll focus on you. If I could plead with you, it would be to use the same good brain that made up these questions you've been asking me, to use it to make change in this country. The country is desperate to be fixed, to be changed. It's a mess, and it isn't getting any better. Having said that, now let me put my hat on as an economist, and this may get you slightly depressed. In my judgment, looking at the history of this country and the economic system we live in, the best days of American capitalism are behind us, not ahead of us. We are an economic system that had a really good run from roughly 1820 to roughly 1970, 150 years of really going up compared to most other countries. Rising wages, rising standard of living, some parts of the population a lot more than others. It wasn't an equal ride, but it was a ride up. In the 1970s, that came to an end. And then we coasted for a while. And by coasting, I mean wages stopped going up, but Americans borrowed more money than anyone had ever borrowed before. And that kept it going another few decades into this century we're living in now. But now this is a system that is in decline. We have given the role of the rising new economic power to another country. It's called China. And it's something your generation is going to have to come to terms with. China is what we in America were. They're the ones taking off. They're the ones growing. The difference is they have 1.4 billion people, 4 Chinese for every American. They're a much, much larger country, and they're going to go very, very far.
I just want to stop here for a second. And let me come out of here. Actually, I can stop sharing that screen. Notice what he said. American capitalism is in decline. He's an economist. Did you guys hear that? He said, we are already in decline.
This is why everyone should listen to Dr. Wolf. And he's someone who had a lot of influence on me. Looking forward to that conversation one day. I know Jackie and RJ talked to him on FHL, and I was super excited about like, damn. Anyway, they killed it. They killed it though. It was a great conversation because he did have a lot of influence on me. So I don't know how people listen to this and acknowledge this reality and then still put all their energy towards electoral politics and the cultural war divide nonsense that they pay attention to all the time. Now, people ask me why I have the politics that I have. My politics is a reflection of what Dr. Wolf just told you. Our system is failing, and people are stuck in 2016-15 rhetoric. Things have changed quickly. We need, now that we lost all chances electorally, and I mean, even with Bernie Sanders, it would have been one hell of a fight. Now we need to start thinking about other strategies. Now, this is the strategy that the bourgeoisie left is not talking about. So when I criticize the Western left, this is what I mean. When I talk about the TYTs, like the millionaire class left, because they still want you to focus on donating to politicians. Oh, we got to volunteer for this politician, bro. You're behind. We need to focus on surviving this late stage capitalist hellhole, police state hellhole that America is becoming. You see their difference? You see the difference between me and them? They game plan. Oh, we gotta get politicians elected. We might get Medicare for all in 20 years. Huh? Like, you guys are not even addressing the issue. Dr. Wolf just laid out. Our society is failing. China is taking over. Climate change is too late to stop. Well, you guys are deeply unserious. What are we talking about? I'm Friends and Leftists. We talking about, well, maybe we should have mutual aid societies. Maybe we should push tour for the poor. Maybe we start feeding people. Maybe we need to start having socialist communes. I talk about that on Twitter, and I told people, ha ha, but I'm dead serious. Like, we was laughing, but I was like, kind of serious though. We need to kind of escape the society because things are not getting better. The idea that the AOC thinks that, oh, we're gonna have Medicare for all in 20 years. Your kid's gonna be comfortable with AOC. That's why. We are not, and there's no guarantee that I'm gonna survive in 20 years. There's no guarantee that people in my family are gonna survive for 20 years. Because there's no guarantee that we're not gonna get shot by a cop tomorrow. Yep. AKA Democrats who want to expand the police state. You see how we are on two completely different political cycles. We're on two completely different planes, and they wonder why I don't like them. They wonder why. They're like, why didn't they got criticism with the left? This is why. They listen to Dr. Wolf, and then they don't come to the right conclusion. My conclusion is like, bro, we need to start strategizing how we survive. Their strategy is, oh, wait 20 years, we get Medicare for all. By the way, don't march in the streets. That's divisive.
Yep.
That's my take on that. But that's why you should listen to Dr. Wolf, because that's why I got my politics. Because he taught me this stuff.
Yep. I want to say shout out to Eric Thomas, who just became a Sabby Sabs member. Thanks so much, Eric. And shout out to Radical Leftist Agenda, who's also a Sabby Sabs member. Welcome. Gamer for Life, I just wanted to say, where did it go? You just said something and I lost it. Nick, Fred Hampton, Leftist, Sabby, you guys are doing amazing work. Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
I've been told stories about people who their politics has been shifted by my work. And I'm gonna be 100% real. If even one person, 2-3 people are flipped by my politics, that's enough for me. Now, what Fred Hampton left is the level we are at right now, where I'm getting a lot of messages of people telling me they changed the way they think. I am more than honored, and this is why I stay unbothered, because this is what the work I want to keep doing despite all the noise. I want to continue to make a difference in the way people think, and that's why I sincerely appreciate you guys saying that, because that's why I got into this game.
Absolutely. Nick, I need 5 minutes. Will everybody keep Nick company for like 5 minutes?
I can take him.
Okay.
I can take him. You know for a fact. I'm like, I apologize, Sabby, because I know I talk too damn much, and this is your show. But
No, it's fine. Guys, I'll be right back, and then we'll open up. We'll do like the Q&A session. But I just need
listen,
a quick minute.
I'm not new to this. Let's see what everyone's talking about.
Everyone, be nice to Nick. I'll be
I
right
can't
back.
I can't show the comments, but I see Valerie said we are in such a dystopian hellhole that we need people action on a massive level fast, or we get or the little people will be gone. That's my politics. Now consider people was like, don't march for America for all. Be nice to politicians. Why are you being mad at Squad even though they're at the Capitol? This is why we're trying to get people ready to do the actions that is required. Meanwhile, people are doing CIA tactics. The CIA tactics of bro, you better advise caution. There are certain channels that you gotta go through. You gotta be careful. You can't bring the ruckus. You gotta be nice, right? Yeah, I see some people saying, and I see Bill Bradley said leftist is not useful in describing the fight. Yeah, and I do it all the time. I'm like, bro, I'm gonna call you a liberal. I don't care if you get mad at it because we got two different philosophies. Like you think you're on the left, and if you want to call yourself on the left, that's okay, bro. I'm not mad at you for doing that. But I'm just to point out that if you are an imperialist, if you support giant police budgets, you are not a leftist. You're just not. If you are punching down and defending politicians, in my mind, you're a liberal. And I don't care if you call yourself a socialist. I don't care if you call yourself a communist. I don't care if you call yourself like an anarcho-Bionist or whatever, bro. You're a liberal to me. And we are having these conversations because I think this information is important to have. These debates are important to have. So you think you're a leftist, but I'm gonna show you why you're not. Because you leaving people behind. You busy defending politicians to defend activists. So I would not be like that's the entire divide. Is people like, why are you being so mean to my favorite politician? Look at all the beef that I've ever been in politics. That's the root cause. Why do G-Hive hate me? They hate me because I'm mean to the Squad. They look at my tweets, they're like, bro, you see what Nick said about AOC? He is so mean to AOC. Nick, oh my God, Nick said he didn't get involved in near-term. That's the only criticism. Their criticism is not actually what I'm talking about. Their criticism is, oh man, yeah, I see what you're talking about, but yeah, we hate capitalism too, but I think we should uplift the capitalist Democratic Party. Now you got people like that. Now the Trump derangement syndrome is wearing off. They realize what they did. They realized that they gave up all our power, because now the Biden administration is using the fact that progressives voted for him. And they saying we got the mandate to expand police budgets now because we ran on giant police budgets, so we can do that now. That is what your action has done by apologizing for the Democratic Party. So what you guys do actually had consequences, and that's why I was laying out. They are abandoning a black agenda because they know black people will vote for the Democratic Party without question. Now you got a lot of black people right now like, bro, why Joe Biden not doing anything for us? And I'm like, bro, wonder if only there was a guy. If only there was a black guy that was warning you guys what would happen if black people vote for Joe Biden and they vote for Jim Crow Joe with no ask. This was all too predictable. All too predictable. There was a super chat. I'll get to it. I can't put it on the screen. Sorry, probably do it here soon. Devon, Logan, Race, thank you for the super chat. Support my friend Sabby. Any predictions on what deep late-stage capitalism will look like? Is there a rise in off-grid communes? Is there separatist movements, or does the U.S. hold? What will they do to ensure it? Now, guys, people are like, Nick, why are you so doomer? Because I have to tell you guys the reality of the situation. Why is Joe Biden and the Democratic Party expanding the police state? They're expanding the police state because they were getting prepared for the social unrest that is happening. The right-wingers, they lose their mind over immigration. They're like, oh my God, the migrants, the immigrants, they're taking over. Oh my God. But meanwhile, they wasn't serious about fighting climate change. By the way, there's a giant migration crisis that's about to happen right now. Because of climate change, sub-Saharan Africa and a large swaths of the Middle East will not be habitable very soon. Because it's too late to stop it, as the report shows. So what do you think is going to happen when you have millions and millions and millions and millions of people that are forced to flee because they cannot live because their crops are failing, it's too hot, There's a lot of different issues going on in local areas where like fishing communities are not able to fish because the ocean is too acidified, for example, because of the carbon dioxide in the ocean. So there's going to be a mass migration crisis, and that's going to require a giant state to prevent it. Because you think people are going to be at the door knocking and being polite? They're not going to be polite if they have to move. If they have to move to survive, you're going to see some crazy stuff happening soon. So they are ramping up the military. They're trying to expand ICE. Both parties are expanding ICE because they were getting prepared for this. So what? People ask me, Nick, why are you so passionate about this? This is why. Because I see this happening. In 10 years, things are going to get really bad. Where people are forced to flee from sub-Saharan Africa and the Middle East. And they are not going to ask nicely. Because they had no choice, because it would be life or death. And to be honest, and to be 100% honest, if I was one of them too, if I would live in sub-Saharan Africa, and my country, and my ecosystem was destroyed because billionaire capitalists, which are responsible for the climate crisis, I would not even ask you if I'm coming in your country. I'm coming in, no questions asked. Life or death. Because there's no choice. Because they're going to die either way. This is going to happen very soon. And that's just one aspect of the post-capitalist society you was asking about, Devon. Great comment. This is why, man, like what to do next is a big, big ask, man, because it's going to be really bad soon. Steven just said, needed for that AOC Capitol event was a bunch of striking miners to turn up and really show them what for. That would have been electrifying. Yeah, once again, they did some stuff. I was talking about that, and I was just outlining. We'll get back to you, Steven, but I was talking to Devon, and I was explaining to them, like, when the climate crisis hit, do you guys understand the migration crisis that's going to cause? Mm-hmm. And I'm humanizing these people because people want to dehumanize these people. I'm telling you, if I lived in sub-Saharan Africa, if I lived in the Middle East, and my culture and my way of life was destroyed because billionaire capitalists, which is responsible for the climate crisis, I'm not asking. I'm knocking on the door. And that's going to happen here in like 10, 15 years.
Yep.
I'm not being doomer. I'm just telling you guys what's going to happen.
Yep. I just want to say shout out to Devin for the super chat. Any predictions on what deep late stage capitalism will look like? Is there a rise in off-grid communes? Is there separatist movements, or does the U.S. hold? And what will they do to ensure it? So I can tell you, Devin, the off-grid thing, that is becoming more popular. I mean, there's still not a lot of people doing it yet, but I do know more people are starting to do it, as well as the tiny home communities. Tiny home communities, man, look, go on YouTube when you have time and look up tiny homes. Look up tiny home communities that are like, more of them are starting across the country. We're going to have more and more of this because a lot of people can't afford to buy a house, and people don't want to keep paying rent because you're just giving money away. Why not get a little tiny home? So that's becoming more popular, like, especially with like Gen Z, younger generation. I'm a millennial, but like, especially with like the Gen Z crowd, like those are my students. And they are just like, look, dude, I'm not trying to give all my money away to a landlord forever. I have one more super chat I want to shout out as well. Thank you so much, Stephen, for the super chat. Needed for that AOC Capitol event was a bunch of striking miners to turn up and really show them what for. It would have been electrifying.
Yeah, and that's why I was that's what we alluded to earlier, and this is why I don't understand why people just stop and like, oh yeah, we got to take this time and praise politicians. That's what AOC was trying to say. Like, we got to celebrate our victories. No, we don't got time. Get back to work. Get back to work. And there are some people that was unreasonable for us to say, like, bro, stuff is dire right now. If you guys want to do a victory lap, that's privileged nonsense. But anyway, with that said, Sabby, I actually had to run because there's like something about to happen in my house right now. But anyway, I appreciate you inviting me on the show. It was super fun. We gotta do it again. I just had to leave. I had to bounce up, but thank you for having me on, Sabby.
Thanks so much for coming.
Yeah, it was a blast. Thank you guys. Make sure you subscribe, like all that stuff. Thank you.
Bye, Dick. Yeah, guys, one more thing I'm going to show you, and then I'm going to head out as well. It is so freaking humid, you guys. Ugh, I feel sticky. Do you hate that feeling? Like, I hate it. I don't like it. I don't like it. One thing I'm going to show you guys, if you are newer to my show, you may not remember this, but a while back, Nick came on, and this was like right after FHL started. And I just want to share this little tidbit with you. because I remembered this today. Let me share this. This is so weird looking back on this. Hey guys, it's Sabby Sabs, and I have a special guest with me today. His name is Nick. He's an activist, he's a mixed martial artist, and he's the co founder of 10 Demands for Justice and the Fred Hampton Leftist podcast. Hey, Nick.
Hey, Sabrina. Nice to finally meet you. Glad to be on the show.
Thanks for coming. So, before we dive into like political issues, can you tell everyone a little bit about your background and how you got involved in activism?
Most of you guys know me as Socialist MMA on Twitter. I been disillusioned and disenfranchised by the two-party system for a very long time. I got reintroduced and I should say reinterested in politics because of the Bernie Sanders campaign. And in 2016, I definitely didn't do enough. I guess I was caught up in my own little bubble or circle, whatever. My circle being who likes Hillary Clinton? Like no one. Like I don't. I remember. I'm delusional thinking about it now. But I remember in 2016, I'm thinking there's no way Bernie's gonna lose to Hillary. Like what? Like once I learned who Bernie Sanders was, I guess I was still disillusioned about politics as a whole. I'm like, okay, once both these candidates get their message out, it's gonna be easy.
I just want to say in response to Malik, you both sound a lot more confident and comfortable. Oh my God, yes, because this is back when I actually used to write questions out for what I wanted to ask people when I interviewed them. Now I don't write anything. People just come on and I just do the damn thing.
Then Bernie lost, and I remember I was shocked, and I also was very upset at myself because I didn't do anything in that election. I was kind of just the online cheerleader. And then when 2020 hit, I understood how important this we can't. I know Bernie's age. I'm like, there's no way we could lose this time. So that's kind of how I got. Most people know me now because I quit my job and I was canvassing for Bernie Sanders. I was doing a little bit of activism for Kansas City Sunrise and KC Tennis around that time, but that's where most people know me, and that's where I was kind of starting my journey as a citizen journalist, where I talk to people while I was canvassing, share their stories on Twitter, and that's how I kind of got known. And then eventually, I will go ahead and found the Fred Hampton Leftist network.
Awesome. So Awkward was on the show and he was talking about I just wanted to show you guys that little clip. It's just so funny because now looking back and watching that, I'm like, oh my God, I was so like I was so like, okay, let me read off these questions that I have on my sheet of paper. It was so different back then. Uh yeah, Zanudo said, wow, things were different back then. The cloth were different. The way people talked was different. It was weird. Yeah, notice how calm we were back then. That's how much has changed. We're angry now. we've had enough. We've had enough. Exactly, Ikaroa. That just goes to show you. Could you play that clip at 2 times speed? I know, it's so funny, man. Angela said, how long ago was that clip? I'm still a newbie to SAB and FHL, only been a sub for 3 months. That was like at the beginning of April. I think that was April. Yeah, God, that seems like that was so long ago. April 8th. That was April 8th, you guys. So we've come a long way in a short time. Oh, Valerie says you were adorable. You could tell I was just so like, great. So let me ask my next question. Oh, man. Oh, Bill Bradley said, now you in the Vanguard participating in chat 5 minutes before streaming yourself. No prep needed. True pro. Thanks so much, Bill. Yeah. Yeah. For those of you who don't know, I actually studied broadcast journalism in college, and I studied broadcasting the way that you would to work for a news station. So I studied that. I did audio, I did radio, I did editing, video production, all of that stuff. And that's how they teach you, is that you're supposed to read this script, this teleprompter. And I had to get out of that. And I was like, you know what? I'm not going to do that anymore. Screw it. I'm not going to write down any questions. I'm just going to wing it. And I actually like doing it so much better that way. But yeah, we were a lot calmer back then. So that just goes to show you how things have changed. Like, we're just tired of it, man. We're just tired. Shout out to Radical Leftist Agenda, who's a Sabby's member. Thanks for working so hard, by the way. Thanks so much. I appreciate it. Yeah, we put in a lot of work, you guys. Gamer for life. Sabby and Bree are great. Oh, thank you. That's really sweet. Atrice said all natural. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I would write down questions and I would put them up over here. You guys can't see, but over here, like on my wall. And then sometimes I wouldn't get to all the questions, and then I would forget a question. And then, so I just said, screw that. I'm just going to wing it. Absolutely. I'm not going to keep you guys too much longer. It's getting late into the night, and I'm sure you guys have been watching live streams all day, because today has been a pretty cool day for that. But I just want to say to everybody, definitely have a good weekend. It is Friday night. Go have some fun, whatever that means to you. And definitely, I just want to say thanks, you know, you guys so much for all the support. I have had too many beers. Actually, I'm only on this is my second one. This is my first one. Anyway, this is by Golden Road Brewing. I think I'm gonna start doing this on Friday nights. Like, instead of having my tea, having like my beer with you guys, and I'll let you know who the company is. This is by Golden Road Brewing, and it's called Mango Cart. So like, craft beer is like really big here. I can't even get this in front of the camera. I don't know what I'm doing. Yeah, Mango Cart. Golden Road Brewing is based out of, where is this? Oh, Los Angeles, California. Yep. Gamer, are you in Cali? I've heard of Golden Road Brewing. Awesome. I never heard of it until today. Oh. Oh, thank you so much, you guys. Yeah, definitely. I think I'm going to do that now. Where are you, Sabby? I am in Boston, Massachusetts. The Boston area, Massachusetts. I've been here for 10 years now. I can't believe it. But I have been. Just JC, I'm a crack a beer too. We have a large craft beer scene here too. Absolutely. Go for it, man. Steve said, careful, some of those are pretty strong. Yes, I've learned that the hard way. Now I look at the ABV automatically, like, oh, that looks interesting. What's the ABV? But yeah. Let's see. Stephanie said, right next door. I'm in Connecticut. All right. New England is in the house. Cool, Angela. I hope you get more this weekend. I am getting low. LOL. Oh, I didn't know you guys were such craft beer people. I should have brought this up a long time ago. Casey said Sierra Nevada Pale Ale was my first in Cali. I remember that beer. I remember Sierra Nevada. I haven't had that in a long time, though. Yeah. Zenuto, 10 years. That's definitely not classic Boston. No. Nope, it sure isn't. When I moved here, put it this way, when I moved here, Charlestown was already starting to become gentrified. So. Absolutely. I think I'm gonna start doing that on Friday nights, you guys. Just showing you like, hey, I'm having this beer. Let's have some fun. Absolutely. All right, guys. I am not going to keep you much longer. I'm going to go ahead and enjoy the rest of my evening. I hope you guys do too. Have a good weekend. And as usual, I'll be back on Monday. You know how I do this. Have a good night. Keep up the fight.